They walk into your life uninvited. They speak words that carry poison wrapped in silk. At first, you don't even realize it. You think they're just having a bad day. You excuse them. You rationalize their words. But soon you feel it. A tension rising in your chest. A tightness in your stomach. Their presence starts to occupy your mind long after they have left the room. This is how toxic people work. They plant seeds inside your consciousness. And every time you think of them, every time you replay their words, you water those seeds. You don't need many of them to ruin your peace. One is enough. One person with their subtle insults, their manipulations, their passive-aggressive comments, can pull your mind into a prison where you fight battles that don't even belong to you. This is the true nature of toxicity, not what they do, but what they awaken inside of you. Shi Heng Yi says, the enemy is not outside. The real enemy is the reaction within. That is why, my friend, no matter how many techniques you try to avoid them, no matter how many boundaries you set with words, as long as the reaction exists inside, they will always find a way to disturb your peace. You may block them on your phone. You may refuse to meet them. But at night, lying in bed, their words echo in your mind. Their presence lingers in your thoughts. And once again you suffer. Because the battlefield is not out there. It is here, in the silent corners of your own mind. You tell yourself, next time I will stay calm. But when they attack again, your body tenses. Your breath shortens. Your mind floods with anger, or worse, with the need to explain, to justify, to fight back. And this, precisely this, is their victory. But listen carefully. There is a way, one action, one internal shift, that will make these people powerless. Once you do it, they will never again be able to control you. Not because they change, but because you will have changed. And when you change, the world around you changes. They will continue to speak. They will continue to act. But their words will hit an empty wall. No entrance. No reaction. No suffering. Shi Heng Yi calls this the art of internal severance. A silent cutting of the invisible cord that binds you to their poison. Imagine for a moment that every toxic person who ever disturbed your peace is connected to you by a thin, invisible thread. This thread is not made of physical material. It is made of your reactions, your emotions, your need for validation, your expectations. Every time they speak and you react, you strengthen this thread. Every time you argue with them in your mind long after they are gone, you wrap that thread tighter around your soul. Now imagine cutting that thread. One clean cut. Silent. Final. You don't need to wait for them to apologize. You don't need to wait for closure. You don't need to understand why they are the way they are. You simply sever the connection within you. Because here is the great secret. They cannot harm you if you stop feeding them your reaction. This is not weakness. This is not running away. This is mastery. The mastery of your own inner space. In the Shaolin temple, the monks train daily not just to strengthen their bodies, but to command their minds. They know that an undisciplined mind is a slave to every passing storm. And toxic people are storms in human form. They rage not because of you, but because of their own unresolved chaos. If you become the mountain, unmoved, the storm can howl all at once. But it cannot move the mountain. Shi Heng Yi teaches, if you control the entrance, you control the battle. The entrance is your reaction. Today, I will guide you to that moment of severance. To that single act that you do once, and never again will their poison reach your heart. But first, you must understand, this is not about controlling them. This is about freeing yourself. You have been told all your life to defend yourself from toxic people. To block them. To argue back. To set boundaries with sharp words. But none of this truly works, does it? Because the war never ends outside. The real battlefield is inside. Inside you. Shi Heng Yi says, he who cannot master his inner world will always be controlled by the outer one. The toxic person may insult you once. But how many times do you replay that insult inside your mind? How many times do you rewrite the conversation in your head? How many hours of your precious life have you surrendered to arguments that happened only inside your imagination? That is the true power they hold over you. Not the words they say, but the space you give to those words inside your being. You see, Toxic people don't feed on your happiness. They feed on your resistance, on your need to be right, on your desire to be understood by them. Every time you seek fairness from those who thrive in chaos, you hand them your peace. This is why so many people remain trapped in endless cycles with the same individuals. They believe, if I just say it the right way, maybe they will understand. But toxic people are not looking for understanding. They are looking for control. Their weapon is subtle. They plant doubt, guilt, and frustration. And you, without realizing, water these seeds every time you react, every time you explain, every time you try to fix what was never yours to fix. The pain you feel is not because of who they are. It is because of your own attachments. Shi Heng Yi teaches, attachment is the invisible chain. Break the attachment and the chain dissolves. But this is difficult, isn't it? Because deep inside, you want justice. You want peace. You want respect. And you believe that by engaging with them, you might eventually receive it. But you won't. Toxic people are not built to deliver peace. They exist in permanent turbulence. It is their nature. You don't heal a storm by talking to it. You don't argue with the wind. You simply step inside, close the door, and let it pass. The truth is painful at first but liberating once accepted. You cannot fix toxic people. You cannot change how they think, what they believe, or how they behave. But you can change where you place your energy. You can reclaim your mind. Shi Heng Yi calls this internal detachment, the art of observing without absorbing. Imagine you are walking through a crowded market. All around you, people are shouting, arguing, selling, demanding your attention. But you walk calmly. You see the chaos, but you don't engage. You allow the noise to exist without entering your inner silence. This is how you must walk through life when toxic people cross your path. Observe. Do not absorb. Hear. Do not respond. Witness. Do not engage. Because the moment you engage emotionally, you step into their arena. And in that arena, they have trained far longer than you. Toxic people are masters of emotional warfare. They know exactly which words trigger you, which expressions ignite your rage, which silences awaken your insecurities. They don't need to win with logic. They win when you lose your center. Shi Heng Yi warns, the battle is lost the moment your mind leaves the present. When you replay their insults in your mind, you give them free rent in your sacred space. When you rehearse future arguments, you surrender tomorrow's peace to today's poison. But now, you are beginning to see the truth. The enemy is not the person. The enemy is your own attachment to their words, your desire to control what you cannot control. And once you see it, you are ready for the severance. Because here lies the greatest wisdom of all. Freedom is not granted by others. It is chosen within. The moment you stop engaging, stop reacting, stop explaining, you reclaim every drop of energy that once fueled their power. This is not coldness. This is not indifference. This is mastery. The mastery of your mind. The mastery of your emotions. The mastery of your life. Soon, I will guide you through the very practice that will release you from these invisible chains forever. Prepare yourself. The moment always comes quietly. It does not arrive with a grand announcement. It arrives as a simple realization, I am tired of carrying what does not belong to me. Shi Heng Yi calls this realization the point of severance, the moment where you no longer seek control over others but seek mastery over yourself. It is not about defeating toxic people. It is about rendering them irrelevant. And that, my friend, is true power. In the Shaolin tradition, the monks understand something the world often forgets. Suffering rarely comes from the world itself. It comes from the attachment to what happens in the world. Pain is real, but suffering is prolonged by the mind. You see, toxic people are like waves. They rise. They crash. They rise again. But what gives them strength is not their nature. It is your resistance to their existence. The more you fight the wave, the more it knocks you down. The more you flow with it, the less power it holds. Shi Heng Yi teaches, the wave does not drown the one who learns to float. The toxic person throws their words like stones. But stones cannot wound you if you do not pick them up. Most people, however, pick up every stone, analyze it, hold it, throw it back, or carry it for years. This is why their hearts grow heavy. This is why their minds stay crowded. But you are ready to choose differently. You are ready to stand at the center of your own being, untouchable, immovable. Shi Heng Yi says, to master the external, first master the internal. Here is where the teaching begins. Imagine your mind as a clear, still lake. Every toxic word, every insult, every manipulation, these are stones thrown into your lake. The ripples disturb your peace. But notice, the disturbance does not come from the stone. It comes from the movement of the water. The stone falls. But if the water remains still, the disturbance fades quickly. In truth, the lake has the power to return to stillness by itself. But most people stir the water further with their reactions, their thoughts, their endless internal dialogue. You must train yourself to let the stone sink and allow the water to settle. This is where internal severance begins. Shi Heng Yi does not teach avoidance. He does not teach suppression. He teaches observation without ownership. When a toxic person speaks, you listen, but you do not absorb. When they attempt to provoke, you recognize, but you do not engage. When they seek your reaction, you breathe and you remain centered. This requires practice, discipline, awareness. In Shaolin training, the body repeats movements thousands of times, not because the body forgets, but because the mind must learn to respond without hesitation. The same applies to the mind. You must practice releasing the impulse to react. At first, the temptation will be strong. Your ego will whisper, defend yourself, answer back, prove your worth. But listen carefully, this is the bait. This is the trap. Shi Heng Yi teaches, when you react, you surrender your energy. When you observe, you keep your power. Power does not come from domination. It comes from containment. To be like the mountain that watches the storm without trembling. To be like the lake that returns to stillness after the stone has sunk. This is not weakness. This is supreme strength. The toxic person may never change. But you, my friend, will have become untouchable. The most dangerous person is not the one who strikes back. The most dangerous person is the one who cannot be moved. From this position of silent power, you will see how their attempts lose force. Like waves crashing against solid rock, their energy will dissolve. And here is the most profound truth. Toxic people do not survive without reaction. The moment you refuse to participate in their chaos, they lose interest. They retreat. They move on, searching for others who will feed their hunger for conflict. But you will have stepped out of the cycle entirely. Shi Heng Yi says, the highest form of defense is stillness. In the next moment, I will guide you through the very practice, simple, powerful, that you need to perform only once. After this, your mind will carry a shield that no toxic person can ever penetrate. Prepare yourself to enter the practice of internal severance. Now that you understand where your true battle lies, you are ready for the practice. This is not a complicated ritual. It is not something that requires years of preparation. It is a simple act of mental mastery, but its simplicity hides a deep power. Shi Heng Yi calls this practice the Inner Severance Ritual. Once performed with full awareness, it becomes a permanent shield. Not because you become harder, but because you become clearer. Let us begin. First, find a quiet place where you will not be disturbed. You do not need anyone else. This is a dialogue between you and your mind. Sit comfortably. Keep your back straight. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for a moment. Exhale slowly through your mouth. Let your body relax. Now bring to your mind the person or people who disturb your peace. See them clearly. You may feel emotions rise, anger, sadness, frustration. Do not suppress them. Do not engage them. Simply observe them like clouds passing across the sky. Shi Heng Yi teaches, to master the mind is to become the silent witness. Now visualize that between you and this person, there is a thin, glowing cord. This cord represents the attachment, the invisible thread through which their energy reaches you. Every reaction, every argument, every painful thought has strengthened this cord over time. See the cord, acknowledge its existence, and then declare silently within, This is the thread through which I have allowed your energy to reach me. But today, I reclaim my space. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, visualize a sharp, golden blade of light appearing in your hand. This blade is not forged from anger. It is forged from clarity. Raise the blade. With one clean, steady motion, sever the cord. You may feel a sudden release, a lightness, as if a weight has fallen from your chest. Whisper to yourself, your chaos no longer enters my mind. Your energy no longer has a place here. I release you. Breathe again. Notice the silence that follows. In this moment, you are not suppressing. You are not denying. You are not pretending. You are releasing. You are choosing where your energy flows. Shi Heng Yi says, what you release loses power over you. Now visualize yourself surrounded by a sphere of calm, golden light. This is your new boundary. Not one made of walls, but of presence. A space where only peace is allowed to enter. Sit within this light for a few breaths. Let your mind taste the silence. Understand this, you do not need to repeat this ritual every time you face toxicity. Once the cord is cut, the power dynamic changes forever. The person may continue their ways, but their energy no longer crosses into your space. You have disconnected the source. Of course, your mind may test you. In the days ahead, old patterns may whisper, but what if they say this? What if they do that? Smile gently at these thoughts. Recognize them as echoes of the old attachment. But do not engage. Simply remind yourself, the cord has been severed. You see, the power of this ritual is not in the blade. It is in your decision, in your willingness to release your need for control, for justice, for explanation. Shi Heng Yi teaches, the one who lets go first becomes free first. The world is full of people who carry invisible cords to dozens of toxic sources. Their minds are crowded, their hearts are heavy, but you have chosen the way of lightness. Do not fear appearing cold. True detachment is not the absence of compassion. It is the presence of clarity. You can still be kind. You can still be respectful. But inside, you are no longer entangled. Shi Heng Yi reminds his students, the strongest warrior does not fight. He stands. Now open your eyes slowly. As you return to the world, carry this shield with you. Walk through life like the mountain walks through the storm, unmoved, undisturbed, unshaken. You have severed the cord, and with that, their power over you has ended. From this moment forward, you carry something that many never discover, not because it was hidden, but because few are willing to release the very chains they've grown used to wearing. Shi Heng Yi says, freedom often feels unfamiliar to the one who has lived too long in chains. You may notice a strange sensation in the days ahead. A stillness where once there was turmoil. A silence where once arguments echoed endlessly. The absence of tension may feel almost uncomfortable at first, like a room that has suddenly grown too quiet. This is not emptiness. This is peace. The peace you have long sought but could not find, not because the world refused to offer it, but because your mind had not yet chosen it. Toxic people will still exist. Their voices may still rise. Their games may continue elsewhere, but not within you. Not anymore. You have closed the gate to your mind. You have sealed your inner temple. And no one enters unless invited. Shi Heng Yi teaches, the master of the temple decides who crosses its threshold. Let others rage. Let them twist words, create stories, spread their poison as they always have. That is their path, not yours. You have stepped beyond the reach of their influence. You have reclaimed your center. True mastery does not require public victory. It does not need applause, nor recognition, nor even understanding from others. True mastery is invisible to the world but unshakable within you. And this is why most never find it, because they are too busy seeking external approval while their internal kingdom collapses. But you have chosen differently. You now understand that toxic people do not survive on what they give you. They survive on what you give them. Your attention, your energy, your reaction. When you withhold these, you starve the parasite. Shi Heng Yi often reminds his students, do not become food for the starving. Guard your energy as you would guard your breath. Every moment you remain centered is another moment they fail to enter your space. Every breath taken without reaction is another brick laid in the fortress of your mind. And slowly, something remarkable happens. You no longer feel anger toward them. You no longer feel the pull of old wounds. You simply feel the fight. Because when you sever the cord, you sever not just their access, but also your own need for them to be anything other than what they are. You release expectation. You release control. And in doing so, you free yourself. Shi Heng Yi says, forgiveness is not a gift for others. It is the final cut of the cord within yourself. This is not indifference. This is compassion for yourself. Compassion to no longer carry the weight of what was never yours. Compassion to walk your path without unnecessary burdens. Compassion to protect your peace, not as an act of war, but as an act of wisdom. Now, as you step forward into your life, carry this teaching with you. Remember this moment. The moment you cut the cord. The moment you reclaimed your space. You will face many people in this world. Some will bring light. Others will bring storms. But you remain the mountain. Still, solid, unmoved. If this teaching has touched your heart, if you recognize the chains you have released, I invite you now to share your experience. In the comments below, write, I have severed the cord. Let this be your declaration, your silent vow to yourself, your reminder that you have stepped into mastery. And if you wish to walk further on this path of wisdom, subscribe to this channel. Together, we explore the ways of discipline, clarity, and inner strength, the true pillars of unshakable peace. Shi Heng Yi teaches, the one who stands still moves beyond all storms. Now you stand, and the storm can no longer touch you.